Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be going over a simple topic, and that is trend trading. I'm going to explain exactly what is a market trend and how we use it to our advantage to make us money with trading. So let's get right into it. So first thing you guys need to understand is why are trends important? And if you guys don't know already, the definition, a trend is the direction that a stock is trading in. So if it's a uptrend, that means the stock is trading, upward. And if it's, a downtrend, a stock is moving lower. And if it's a sideways trend, it's moving sideways. So a trend is the direction. And we want to trade with the direction of a trend. This is very, very important. It's very simple, but I see so many people get this wrong. We want to find setups that are in the same direction as a trend. So if a stock has an upward trend, we want to find a way to buy it. And if it has a downward trend, we want to find a way to sell it. We rarely ever trade something the opposite direction of its trend. So that is why a trend is so important, and we're going to go over how we can actually find these trends and determine what direction they're going in. So first type of trend, there is the uptrend. So uptrends have higher highs and higher lows, and exactly what that means is that, let's say that there is a trend. So stock moves up, it kind of moves down, it moves up, moves down, moves up. And as you guys can see, this, what I just drew right here, it's moving in upward direction. As you can literally see with your own eyes, it's kind of moving up. And it moves up, moves down, moves up, moves down, but overall it's moving upwards. And what I mean by higher highs and higher lows is that every pivot point that you see it is higher. So this first right here is a higher high. So it started down here, and this is the first high that it makes while it's on the trend. And then here is a higher low. Right here, you can see this high is higher than this high. This top point before it reverses and moves back down is higher than the previous point before it reversed and moved back down. And then there's a higher low, as we can see. There's a higher low. This low on the way to its uptrend is higher than this low. And then this high is higher than this high. And this low is higher than this low. I guess, I hope you guys get the point that an uptrend has higher highs and higher lows. Now let's talk about an example. This is an example of an uptrend. This example is a little sloppy, but we can still determine it's an uptrend because we see higher highs and higher lows. First, this was the previous high and this is the higher high. This was the previous low and this is the lower low. This is another high right here. And here is a lower low. You can see this low is kind of lower than this low. Again, this high is higher than this high and this high. And this low is higher than this low. So as we can see, this is an uptrend because it has higher highs. The point before it pivots is higher than the previous time it pivoted. And we can see it moved up, kind of moved down, moved up, moved down. But every time it moved up and moved down, it was higher up. Now let's talk about downtrends. And this is basically the exact same thing, but to the downside. So downtrends have lower highs and lower lows. So we can see this pattern right here. It's moving overall, it's moving lower. We can see there's times where it moves down and there's times where it moves up, but overall it's making a push to the lower direction. It's moving lower, it's moving down. So once again, we can see there's lower highs and lower lows. This low is lower than this low. This high is lower than this high. This low is lower than these previous lows. Every time it makes a move lower, there is a lower low and a lower high. So as you guys can see, this is basically how we can find downtrends. Now here is an example of a downtrend. So as we can see, the first low right here is lower than this previous low. That low was higher, so this low is lower. Now this high is lower than the previous high, which makes it a lower high. Once again, we see here, the low that it made down here with this price action, with these candles, is lower than the price action down here when it made a pivot. And then when it pivots and moves up, this top of that move higher is lower than the previous high. So this is basically how we can determine a downtrend. We see lower highs and lower lows. Every time it pivots, it makes a lower high, and every time it moves down, it's lower than the previous low. Hope you guys understand. Now, there's a third type of trend, and this is called a sideways trend. And with this trend, it tends to have equal highs. The highs are, relatively at the same price, they're at the same level, and the lows are relatively at the same level. So yeah, it's kind of equal highs and equal lows, like overall relative. And this means whenever we see a sideways trend, as us traders, we don't have any magical powers. We can't really determine what direction it's going in. It's moving sideways. There's no clear direction. And, we don't like these type of trends because it doesn't help us. It doesn't give a bias on what's going to happen next, which is why we should stay away from finding entries in these sideways trends. We do not, if we see it moves down here, moves up here, moves down here, moves up here, we're not going to try to find a way to short it. There's no clear direction. There's no guarantee that it's going to keep moving lower. Maybe it just keeps moving higher. We do not like it when we do not know the direction of the trend. So stay away from sideways trend, guys. Now, here's, whenever there's a sideways trend, we're going to get into this a little more later, but whenever there's a sideways trend, it kind of creates two brick walls, one above the trend and one below the sideways trend. Now, these walls are called resistance and support. So, the wall, the line we can make below this consolidation, below the sideways trend, is called a support level, and it tends to bounce off of this level. And the high here is a resistance, and the price action, the chart, the stock, it's getting resisted to move higher because of this resistance line. So I'm not going to actually get into support and resistance in this video. We're going to cover that in a whole different topic, but that was, a little explanation on what that was. And here is an example of a sideways trend. We can see the trend moves up right here, and it moves back down to the previous level it started at. It moved up here, and then moved back down. And, it's kind of just moving in this, little space of price action. It's kind of just staying within this price. And yeah, I can't find a single setup that I would want to take here. Stay away from sideways trends. Whenever you guys just see this equal highs and equal lows, we do not like that. So next, how do we use trends to our advantage to make us money? This is the whole point of trading. So the first step when we look at the charts, whenever we're trying to before we even try to find a setup, is we want to first determine the trend. And it's really important to do this on multiple time frames. We don't want to just look at the 5-minute chart and find a trend on the 5-minute chart. We want to look at the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, the 2 minute, the daily chart, and we want to determine an overall trend that is on all of these time frames. So the best type of stocks, the best type of setups that I take usually have alignment. The trends are kind of aligned on all these setups. I want to see that there's a downtrend on the 15-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, the daily chart, the hourly chart. I like it when there is the same type of trend on all of these time frames. Then the second step is to find a setup that helps us capture the move that the trend is moving in. So if it's in an uptrend, we want to find a specific setup that allows us to enter the trade and capture that move that it is already making. So if it's an uptrend, we want to find a way where we can buy the stock. And if it's in a downtrend, we want to find a good entry where we can sell the stock. And you guys need to keep in mind that, our chances of succeeding with these trades are much, much, much greater if we trade in the same direction of the trend. Guys, it's a very, very simple topic. Everyone understands it, but I see so many people just not trading in the same way of the trend. We want to determine the direction of the trend and then find a setup that goes with that direction. Now, another point you guys need to understand is that trends don't usually just go from up to down to up to down. They have a transition period. And usually what we see in most, stocks and most markets in general, we see that there is an uptrend and then it transitions to a sideways trend before transitioning down to a downward trend. And then same applies to the opposite. usually see a downtrend, and then we see a sideways trend, and then we see an uptrend. It's like really rare to see stocks that go straight from an uptrend to a downtrend, or vice versa, downtrend to an uptrend. So like I said, it is very rare to find, occasions or when the stock immediately goes from an uptrend to a downtrend or downtrend to uptrend, but there is one very rare occasion where this actually does happen, and this is called the reversal setup, when it immediately changes direction from up to down or down to up. Now, with this type of setup, it is very difficult to find this because it doesn't happen often. We usually expect the trend to have a transition period. So reversal setups are, quite rare, and they are really, really hard to, spot. They're really hard to locate, especially if you're a beginner. If you're just a beginner, you're learning about trends, you're learning about trading with the trend, it's really hard to find a setup where, it's a reversal. So my recommendation to you guys, you guys can do whatever you want. If you really like it, you could try it, but in the beginning, especially just in the beginning while you guys are learning and practicing, stay away from finding these reversal setups. And I'm going to make a whole video explaining exactly how we trade reversal setups and how we actually, the setups and how we actually make money on them. But in the beginning, focus on trading setups that have to do with the uptrend and the downtrend, because the reversal setups are a quite difficult type of setup, and they require lots of practice and experience in the markets before you can actually locate them and execute it the right way. So in the beginning, guys, trade stocks that move in a trend. Do not try to trade a stock if it's moving up. Don't try to find a way to short it, because it's just really hard, and eventually after you've got some experience in the markets, then you could start playing around and trying these reversal setups. I actually know a few traders who only trade reversal setups. That's their favorite type of setup. But even they said themselves that in the beginning they first learned trading with the trend, and because of their experience with that type of trading and just only trading stocks that move with the trend, then they were able to learn about reversals. But it's a very advanced topic, and if you guys try to learn this one first, it's going to be much harder just to learn everything in general. So I would say stay away from this in the beginning while you are learning. And that's basically the intro to what a trend is and how we use it to our advantage. There's obviously a lot more to it. There's a lot of strategies, time frames, different factors we focus on when we use trades, but it all starts with determining the trend. This is basically step one before you guys can do anything else, and you need to determine the trend before you actually learn the strategies and make trades. So hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.